My beloved child, pause here for a moment, because what you are about to hear was never meant to pass you by unnoticed. Something has shifted quietly in the heart of the person connected to you, and the reason may surprise you more than you expect. They discovered something about you by accident. You did not announce it. You did not place it in front of them hoping to be praised. You may not even realize how extraordinary this part of you appears through another person's eyes. Yet somehow, in one unplanned moment, your soulmate saw a side of you that had remained hidden, and from that moment forward, something inside them has not been the same. Do not hurry away from these words, because the talent they discovered is only the beginning of what this moment has awakened. For so long, there has been a part of you that you have treated as ordinary simply because it belongs to you. You became familiar with it. You carried it quietly. Perhaps you practiced it alone, expressed it when nobody was paying attention, or used it naturally without ever thinking that someone could be deeply moved by it. There are gifts that arrive with applause, and then there are gifts that grow in silence. Yours belongs to the second kind. It was shaped in the private places of your life, through experiences that taught you patience, sensitivity, observation, creativity, courage, or expression. What seems effortless when you do it may have been built through years of emotions nobody witnessed. And that is exactly why the discovery affected your soulmate so strongly. They did not simply see something impressive. They saw evidence that there are entire worlds inside you they have not yet explored. Stay with this, because the way they found out matters. This was not a moment you carefully prepared. They were not sitting there waiting for you to prove yourself. Something happened unexpectedly. Perhaps they heard something you created. Perhaps they saw something you had done and never mentioned. Perhaps someone brought up your ability without realizing how little your soulmate knew about it. Perhaps they watched you handle something with an ease that caught them completely off guard. Whatever the exact scene may be in this fictional story, the emotional truth of the moment is the same: your soulmate stopped. Their attention changed. For a few seconds, everything they thought they understood about you expanded. They had already formed an image of you in their mind. They knew your kindness, your strength, your unusual way of thinking, your quietness, your humor, your emotional depth, or perhaps even your mystery. But this talent did not fit neatly into the version of you they had constructed. It revealed another dimension. Suddenly they were asking themselves, how did I not know this? And underneath that question was another one they were almost afraid to ask: what else about this person have I never seen? That question has stayed with them. They replayed the moment later. That is the part you may not know. When the room became quiet and nobody was around, their thoughts returned to you. They remembered the smallest details. The expression on your face. The confidence you may not have noticed in yourself. The way you became different when you entered the space of your gift. There are moments when a person becomes fully themselves without trying, and your soulmate witnessed one of those moments. They saw you forget the need to impress anyone. They saw you simply become absorbed in something that belongs naturally to your spirit. And something about that authenticity touched them deeper than ordinary attraction ever could. Do not skip what comes next, because the shock was not only that you were talented. The greater surprise was how much this changed the way they saw you. Before this discovery, there may have been unanswered questions between you. Maybe they wondered what truly drives you. Maybe they sensed that you held something back. Maybe they noticed that there are times when you disappear emotionally into your own world, as though a hidden part of your life exists beyond what everyone else can see. They could never name it. Now a piece of the puzzle has fallen into place. Your soulmate has started realizing that some of the things they once misunderstood about you may actually be connected to this gift. Your sensitivity may not be weakness, it may be part of what allows you to notice what others miss. Your quietness may not be emptiness, it may be where ideas are forming. Your intensity may not be too much, it may be the energy that feeds your creativity. Your habit of observing people may not be distance, it may be how you understand emotion. The pieces are connecting, and with every connection, their curiosity is becoming stronger. They are beginning to understand that you have not been hiding because you wanted to deceive anyone. You may have hidden this part of yourself because it felt precious. Some things become sacred when they survive years without validation. A talent can become deeply personal when it develops during lonely seasons. You may have protected it because people once dismissed it, misunderstood it, laughed at it, or simply failed to notice it. Perhaps there was a time when you showed a glimpse of your gift and received silence instead of encouragement. And so you learned not to perform for approval. You learned to keep certain treasures inside until they found the right place to breathe. Your soulmate may not know the whole history yet, but they can feel that history exists. That is what unsettled them most. They expected to be impressed for a moment. Instead, they became emotional. Imagine the scene. They are alone, thinking about what they discovered, and a strange tenderness begins moving through them. They remember all the times you may have underestimated yourself. They remember moments when you spoke as though you were ordinary. They remember the way you sometimes minimized your own abilities, changed the subject when attention turned toward you, or laughed off compliments because accepting them felt uncomfortable. Suddenly those moments look different. Your soulmate realizes you may not fully understand your own impact. And that realization has stirred something protective in them. They want to know why you kept this hidden. They want to know who taught you to doubt it. They want to know whether anyone ever made you feel that your gift was not valuable enough. They wonder whether you gave up on something you once dreamed of doing. They wonder whether there is a version of you still waiting for permission to come forward. But listen closely, what is happening inside them is not pity. It is admiration mixed with wonder. There is a difference. Pity looks down. Wonder looks closer. And your soulmate is looking closer now. They are remembering conversations with you and hearing them differently. Something you casually said weeks or months ago suddenly makes sense. A comment about a dream you once had. A story from childhood. A strange habit. Something you saved. Something you always noticed before everyone else. A skill you brushed aside with, "It's nothing." They did not understand then. Now they do. It was never nothing. And this is where the story becomes even more interesting, because the hidden talent itself may not be the deepest discovery. Sometimes a gift reveals character. When your soulmate watched you use this ability, they also witnessed discipline they had never fully recognized. They saw patience. They saw intelligence. They saw imagination. They saw courage. They saw a depth of concentration that surprised them. Maybe they even saw joy appear on your face in a way they had rarely witnessed. That joy remained in their memory. People remember the way someone looks when they are doing what makes them come alive. There is a kind of light that cannot be manufactured. It appears when a person is no longer performing an identity but inhabiting it. Your soulmate saw that light, and for a moment they may have felt like they were seeing you for the first time. Now something unusual is happening. They are comparing the version of you they knew before with the version they glimpsed in that moment. They keep discovering that both versions were always the same person. You were never suddenly transformed. They simply had not been paying close enough attention to everything beneath the surface. And this has humbled them. There may have been moments when your soulmate thought they had you figured out. Perhaps they assumed they could predict your reactions. Perhaps they believed they understood your strengths and limitations. Perhaps they quietly placed you inside a comfortable definition: kind, mysterious, emotional, reserved, independent, loving, complicated, strong. But human beings are always larger than the labels placed on them. And your hidden talent shattered one of those labels. Now they are wondering how many times they underestimated you. Do not rush past that sentence. Because it may be connected to something they regret. There was a moment in the past when your soulmate doubted you in some way. It may not have been dramatic. They may never have spoken it aloud. But perhaps they wondered whether you could really build the life you talked about. Perhaps they questioned whether your dreams were realistic. Perhaps they assumed you needed someone else to bring out your potential. Perhaps they thought you were waiting for life to happen to you. Then they discovered this gift. And suddenly, they saw evidence of a person who has been building quietly all along. You were not empty. You were developing. You were not lost. You were becoming. You were not waiting for someone to give you value. You were carrying value that had not yet been witnessed. That realization has landed heavily on their heart. They now understand that your quiet seasons may have been preparation. The moments when you withdrew may have been creation. The days you appeared uncertain may have contained invisible growth. And whether this hidden talent is artistic, intellectual, emotional, practical, musical, creative, spiritual, expressive, or something that cannot easily be categorized, it has become a symbol of something larger to them. You have depth they did not expect. And depth changes attraction. Surface admiration says, "I like what I see." Deeper recognition whispers, "I want to understand who you really are." Your soulmate has crossed into that second place. This is why they may begin behaving differently around you. They may ask unusual questions. They may mention something casually, pretending not to be deeply interested. They may watch you more closely when you speak. They may encourage something you assumed they never noticed. They may even become strangely quiet when your talent comes up, because there is more happening inside them than they are prepared to reveal. They are not only impressed. They are intimidated in a very specific way. Not because your gift makes you threatening, but because it makes you larger than the story they had written about you. When people discover hidden brilliance in someone they care about, it can force them to confront themselves. Your soulmate has started asking questions about their own life. What have I hidden? What have I abandoned? When did I stop believing in my own abilities? Your gift became a mirror. They did not expect that. They thought discovering something about you would teach them about you. Instead, it is teaching them about themselves. And there is more. One of the strongest thoughts moving through their mind is this: why did they never tell me? They are trying not to take it personally, but part of them wonders whether you trusted them enough to show this side of yourself. They wonder if they missed opportunities to make you feel safe. They wonder whether they were so caught up in their own fears and confusion that you concluded they would never understand this part of you. That possibility bothers them. Because now they desperately want access to the world you kept private. They want to hear the story behind it. When did you first discover this ability? Who noticed it first? Did someone inspire you? Did someone discourage you? Did you ever dream of doing something bigger with it? Have you been practicing secretly? How much of yourself have you been keeping away from everyone? And perhaps the question that scares them most: were you waiting for someone else to believe in you? There is emotion underneath that question because your soulmate suddenly wants to be one of the people who believes. But this creates another inner conflict. They do not want their encouragement to sound fake now that they have seen proof. They wish they had recognized your potential before witnessing it directly. They wish they could say, "I always knew," but somewhere inside, they know that would not be completely true. They sensed something. But they did not know. And now they know enough to realize there is still much more to discover. Stay near these words, because a second revelation is unfolding. Your soulmate did not keep this discovery entirely to themselves. At some point, your name came up in conversation with someone they trust. The conversation may have begun casually, but then they mentioned what they saw. Their tone changed. The other person noticed. There was excitement in their voice. Maybe they said, "I had no idea they could do that." Maybe they tried to explain the talent and realized words were inadequate. Maybe the person listening smiled because something had become obvious: your soulmate was not merely describing a skill. They were describing you with admiration. And admiration reveals attachment. The person listening may have teased them gently or asked a question they were not prepared for. Why does this matter so much to you? That question created silence. Because how could your soulmate explain it? How could they say that seeing your hidden gift made them feel proud? How could they admit that they suddenly imagined you doing something extraordinary with it? How could they confess that for a few seconds they saw a future version of you, and that somehow, in that vision, they wanted to be nearby? They may not have said any of that. But they felt it. And once a feeling like that enters the heart, it does not disappear easily. Something else happened after the conversation. Your soulmate returned to the discovery again. They searched for another glimpse. Maybe they looked at something connected to your talent. Maybe they replayed a recording, reread something, revisited a memory, asked another person a subtle question, or simply sat quietly thinking. The more they looked, the more surprised they became. Because the first moment was not a coincidence. You really are capable of this. And perhaps you are even better than they first understood. That is when admiration turned into astonishment. They began realizing that your talent may have potential far beyond a private hobby. There is something in what you do that could touch people. Something that could open opportunities. Something that could become important if you ever chose to take it seriously. And here is the strange part. You may already have given up on that possibility. Perhaps life became too demanding. Responsibilities arrived. Disappointment happened. You told yourself that certain dreams belonged to a younger version of you. You learned to be practical. You put the gift away emotionally, even if you continued using it quietly. But gifts have a way of surviving abandonment. They wait. They appear in unexpected moments. And sometimes another person becomes the witness who reminds us that something inside us never disappeared. In this fictional divine message, that is what your soulmate has accidentally become, a witness. Not your savior. Not the source of your ability. A witness. There is power in that distinction. Your gift was yours before they discovered it. Your value did not increase because they noticed. You did not become extraordinary the moment someone admired you. Their discovery simply revealed what had been present all along. And heaven, within this story, would whisper, "Stop measuring your light by how quickly people recognize it." Some people recognize diamonds only after seeing them under the right light. That does not mean the diamond became valuable in that moment. It means someone finally learned how to see. Your soulmate is learning how to see you. Not the version shaped by rumors. Not the version created by misunderstandings. Not the version formed by distance or incomplete conversations. You. And this is beginning to change something important between you. There has been an invisible imbalance in the connection. One of you may have felt unseen. One may have carried more unspoken emotion. One may have wondered whether the other truly understood their heart. Your soulmate's accidental discovery has disturbed that old pattern. Because now curiosity is pulling them toward you. They want to ask questions they never asked. They want to know what else gives you that look in your eyes. They want to understand where your confidence disappears and where it returns. They want to know the private dreams you stopped discussing. And somewhere inside them is a growing fear that someone else could notice these things before they do. That fear is not about ownership. It is about timing. They are realizing that a person like you will not remain hidden forever. Talent eventually leaves fingerprints. Depth eventually reveals itself. Character eventually becomes visible. And people eventually notice what was once overlooked. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that if they continue standing at a distance, the world will not pause beside them. You are still becoming. Your story is still moving. And this discovery has made them aware that your future may be larger than they imagined. This is where a new emotional layer enters. Pride. They feel strangely proud of you. Even if they have no right to claim your accomplishments, something in their heart rises when they think about what you can do. They imagine other people seeing it. They imagine you finally receiving recognition. They imagine the expression on your face if something you once considered impossible suddenly became real. And when they imagine your happiness, they feel happiness too. That tells them something about their feelings they can no longer easily deny. Because admiration can exist from a distance. But joy in another person's joy is different. That is personal. That is tender. That is dangerous to someone who has been trying to keep their emotions controlled. Your soulmate has been attempting to maintain control. They may have told themselves that they should not get too invested. They may have created emotional rules. Do not think about you too much. Do not imagine the future. Do not read into every moment. Do not become vulnerable. Then you did something extraordinary without even knowing they were watching. And their carefully constructed rules began falling apart. Because mystery creates distance, but revelation creates intimacy. They saw something real. And reality entered where fantasy used to live. Now their feelings have something solid to hold on to. They are not fascinated by an idea of you. They are becoming fascinated by who you actually are. But my beloved child, there is one more secret hidden underneath all of this, and it is the reason this discovery may become more important than either of you understands right now. Your soulmate did not simply discover a talent. They recognized something inside that talent. Something familiar. Something connected to a conversation, memory, dream, or private wish they have carried for a long time. When they saw what you could do, a thought entered their mind so suddenly that it frightened them. What if this is connected to something we are supposed to build together? They dismissed the thought at first. Too dramatic. Too soon. Too strange. But it returned. They imagined your ability combining with something they care about. They saw a possibility that had never existed in their mind before. Not merely romance. Not merely attraction. Purpose. That word changed the atmosphere. Purpose. Could two people come into each other's lives not just to exchange affection, but to awaken forgotten parts of one another? Could your hidden talent be connected to a future chapter neither of you has reached? Could this discovery be the beginning of a conversation that changes the direction of your life? Your soulmate does not know yet. And neither do you. That uncertainty is exactly what makes what happened next so significant. Because after sitting with everything they had discovered, your soulmate made a quiet decision. They decided they wanted to hear about this talent directly from you. Not through another person. Not through accidental evidence. Not by observing from far away. From you. They began thinking about how to bring it up without revealing just how deeply affected they had been. They rehearsed questions. Rejected them. Tried again. They wanted to sound casual, but nothing about their curiosity felt casual anymore. They were preparing to open a door. But before they could, another discovery appeared. Something connected to your talent surfaced that they had never seen before. And this time, it was not small. It suggested that what they witnessed was only the surface. There may be a history behind your gift that they know absolutely nothing about. A moment when you almost chose a completely different path. A dream you once came dangerously close to pursuing. A piece of your past you quietly closed the door on. Your soulmate found the first clue. And when they realized what it might mean, they froze. Because suddenly the question was no longer, how did I never know they were this talented? The question became, why did they walk away from something this powerful? And even more unsettling than that was the thought that followed. Someone may already know the answer. Someone from your past witnessed this side of you long before your soulmate ever did. Someone remembers what happened. Someone knows why you stopped. And your soulmate is now closer than ever to discovering that story. But the moment they learn the truth about why you hid your gift, the way they see your entire journey may change forever.